Hi, everybody, and welcome to Shine with Julie. Good afternoon. We have Millie Barra in the house today, and she is a mindfulness energy coach, and she specifically helps working moms deal and heal with their anxiety and their emotional overwhelm. Thank you, Millie. Let's just say that right now. I don't know of any working mom that can honestly say that they don't have overwhelm and anxiety. So, super glad that you're here to kind of navigate us because now we have not only that, we have not only regular life, but the holiday approach, right? So, that just kind of amps everything up. So, Millie, tell us a little bit more about how you got started in this work.
Yeah, Julie, thank you for having me today. It's great to be on your show. So I am Millie. Great to meet you all. I am a mom of two boys. I have a 6-year-old and a 8-year-old. And basically, I started my journey about 5 years ago. I had left my original profession, which I have an elementary education degree, is my
Mhm.
background. I taught fourth grade for about 12 years and then started having children and then decided to leave education to stay at home, which is what I thought everything I wanted to be. But man, is mom life hard. Like, give me 36 other people's children. No problem. But just two of my own, that's a whole nother story. And in through my journey, I kind of struggled with anxiety kind of unknowingly. I think oftentimes anxiety is a bit of a label per se, but a lot of us silently deal with it, or we have what's called high functioning anxiety, which was kind of my story. I can look back at my life and I can see trends where it would be higher, but really after having kids, it really started ramping up to the point where I didn't want to leave my house. Simple tasks every day were really challenging. And I just really found myself getting deeper and deeper into a rut. And I knew that this is not who I wanted to be, nor was the mom that I wanted my boys to have. So
Yeah.
5 years ago, I started my own journey of kind of learning how to overcome this. I went to the doctor. I said, there has got to be something wrong with me. Like,
Mhm.
what's going
Yeah.
on with me? Had blood work and everything came back fine. And here I am crying in my doctor's office going, no, but there is something wrong with me. I had a lot of negative self talk, a lot of inner chatter that was not healthy, not being able to get out of bed. I mean, literally, I was getting up, throwing food out to make sure everybody was good, and just really struggling day to day.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wanted to take a more holistic approach to trying to figure out. So I started reading every self help book I could possibly get my
Mhm.
hands on.
Yeah.
I started trying to do breathing techniques and exercising more. And really, through my journey, some of that stuff would help. But really, what helped me the biggest was getting to the root of my anxiety and my triggers and healing those, which I then discovered the emotion code and the body code and EFT tapping. And that's what had the biggest shift for me. And it was really placed on my heart after going through my own journey, saying, you know what, this is a real need for
Mhm.
moms out there, because I think we all struggle with feeling like we kind of have to do everything on our own and that this is just how it is. And
Yeah.
so I'm really on a mission of taking moms from survival mode and teaching them how they can really thrive in every area of their life.
I loved that high functioning anxiety because I think a lot of us, especially professional working moms, can relate to that because we just go, we do it,
Right.
and then we crash at the end. So, what are some ways that our audience can identify? Do I have this? Is this something that is maybe affecting me that I don't even realize? What are some of those things that they can look for?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is noticing really big highs and lows, right? You have really high bursts of energy, and then, but thing is, you notice you really crash
Mhm.
and you have to recoup. The other thing too is triggers. Are you grouchy? Are you easily irritable?
Mhm.
Those are kind of things that played with me where I started noticing as simple as my child having, a minor tantrum would
Yeah.
just set me off. And oftentimes, our anxiety then lashes out as anger
Mhm.
because we're not addressing the major issue. So your body internally is still trying to get your attention. So it sends off these fire warnings and you're responding to those triggers and things like that. Your mood, again, those highs and lows. I think also your inner thought process is a big cue. If you have a lot of negative self chatter of like, oh, you could have done that better. Obviously this normal signals in your body of you have that constant racing of your heart, that kind of nervousness that you're feeling. But the thing is we are really good, especially as moms, at constantly charging through.
Mhm.
And so I always encourage my clients, like, you need to do regular check-ins with yourself and pretty much do the check-ins in the morning and at night.
Right.
Check in when you wake up in the morning. How am I feeling? How is it going? And then kind of towards the end of the day too, checking yourself. Well, how did it go? Did I notice any of these triggers? And
Right.
starting to cue into that as well. I think we are a society that has pretty much accepted that, well, anxiety is just normal. Anxiousness, overwhelm, like that's just part of life because we're in such a high pace world. And so not to feel that, it's almost like, then what's wrong with me?
Right. Yeah. Why don't I feel it? It's like worry. It's like, why don't I worry? There's something wrong with
Yeah.
me if I don't worry. Yeah.
Right. And we're not
Absolutely.
meant to
I
live
love
like
that
this. I mean,
check-in.
yeah.
That's a great tip because, like you said, we're barreling through. We've got so much on our plate. We have work, tasks. We have, oftentimes we're the ones cleaning the house, or we facilitate the cleaning of the house by others, like I do.
Yes.
But we're in charge of the meals often, running the kids to and from school, getting them to their events. And, sometimes I think as women, we don't often know how to check in with ourselves, or maybe we're afraid to check in with ourselves because then that's just one other thing we have to pay attention to. I don't know if that's something that's come up. That's just something that popped in my head. It's like, oh my gosh, now I have to check in with myself. What is that going to lead to? But
right.
yeah. But when you started tapping into, like what you said, you went to the doctor, you knew there was something going on. Did you always hear that chatter? Did you know it was happening, or how did you learn to listen for that? I've
Well, I
asked you
think
like 3 questions in a minute. I
that's
know.
okay. Number one question. No, that mind chatter. I think the thing is it slowly creeps in. And I don't know that we become used to hearing constantly, especially for us women. We're always feeling like we need to strive to be something better or something other than what we actually are, and not realizing that we are perfectly designed exactly who we are, just as we are.
Yeah.
And, no matter what anything reflects externally with that, like really accepting that and loving ourselves to be who we are meant to be. There's a lot of peace that comes with that when we finally can get into a relationship that's healthy with ourselves. But I just really started noticing it amping up as my anxiety was getting higher. Just things about like, you're not being a good mom, why can't you get your act together? Gosh, the house is just such a mess. And really that inner voice, which we refer to as the inner ego, like edging God out. And it's really trying to demean you and kind of break you down. And then the problem with that though is your subconscious mind begins to believe that that's true. And it begins to shape your present reality to reflect all the things that you're saying to yourself internally. So I started just really noticing that amping up as my anxiety and my overwhelm was amping up. And it was just turning into this vicious cycle. And that's why I'm like, this has got to stop. I mean, like I said, I was getting invited to go have outings with friends, which as a mom, you're like, yeah, like I need to go have some me time. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'm there. And then the day of, I would come up with some kind of reason why to cancel. Number one, because trying to get my act together, to get my kids situated, raised my anxiety and my overwhelm, but also because I didn't feel good internally. And that inner voice is like, oh, well, they're going to notice that you gained some weight, or they're going to notice that you're tired, or, just all that stuff that started implanting in my subconscious mind. So, I think, again, it goes back to what I said about really being conscious within, not being on autopilot, like throughout your day, being really conscious and aware of what you're feeding your body. And when those things do drop in,
Yeah.
into your mind, trying to rephrase that and also ask yourself, is that really reality or am
Mhm.
I just making this up?
Right.
Obviously, I was a good mom.
Yeah.
Obviously, I loved my boys,
Right.
and I was doing the best I could in the circumstance, but my mind was causing me to go deeper, deeper into that belief pattern that I wasn't enough,
Right. Yeah.
which goes into things that we know as practitioners, belief
Yes.
patterns, and
Right. Right.
hypnotic suggestions that are formed not only by us, but other people in society
Mhm.
and programming from the media and all those kind of
Yeah.
things. So,
Well, and I think that, you have younger kids, and I remember, I was a working mom and I had youngins, and now they're a little bit older, but birthday parties. I don't know why this just popped in my head, but, the Pinterest birthday party, I would throw a cake together and I'd have presents and I do this. But some moms, it's like, bow to you that you have the creativity and the time and the wherewithal to do this. But some of the birthday parties I would hear about, it was like, oh, I am so unworthy. Maybe next year I'll do that. And something as simple as that, raises the anxiety level, raises the comparison level. And all of a sudden you feel overwhelmed at the fact that your kid didn't throw a party like his or her friend. And it's just like, oh, where does it end? Where does it end? So,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
love that. Being aware, being okay, being uniquely you. I love
yes,
that message, Millie, because it goes on so many levels in our lives as moms, that we can just be us and it's okay. And, I think that a lot of us, that's one thing, one red flag to pay attention to is, are you canceling things because of, what you think others might think of you, or, the mom guilt that comes with, having a night out.
mhm,
I don't know if you experienced that as well as part of that cancel. It's like, oh, well, I wasn't engaged with my kid. I worked all day, therefore I shouldn't go out.
yeah,
I think you shared this statement with me. Quit shitting all over yourself. It's
yes.
like my favorite saying. I absolutely love that saying. But yeah, so let me ask you this, Millie. You were a teacher. And you have gone from being a teacher to now a holistic healer. Did you ever see that, being an entrepreneur? Is that something that was even on your radar growing up or in your early adulthood?
Yeah, no, that totally was something out of the blue. I would have never imagined stepping into this role.
Mhm.
I can remember growing up thinking being a teacher was all I ever wanted. And I saw that as a vehicle to being able to be a mom because I
Right.
thought that was the most important job for me and that's what I wanted to do. And then when I, kind of exited my professional career as a teacher and then stepped into the full-time mom role, I had a lot of guilt too around the fact
Mhm.
that, gosh, like this is a lot harder than I thought
Yeah.
it would be. And also this isn't really the funnest job in the world. And I felt a lot
Right.
of guilt for the fact that I wasn't feeling fulfilled in that
Yeah.
role. And then stepping then into being a practitioner and now entrepreneur and building my own practice and everything, which is completely foreign, right? I'm like, give me
Right.
my lesson plans and everything else. I can do that. But being an entrepreneur, that's a whole nother ball of wax for me. But the thing is I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. And as much as I was always trying to kind of push it away because I felt
Mhm.
guilty for stepping into this role, not only because it would take time away from my kids, but it was so unfamiliar for me
Right.
that once I fully leaned into it 100% and accepted that
Mhm.
this was what God wanted me to do, because I really do feel it was my calling that was placed on my heart, it almost like everything synced up, because now here are my boys seeing their mom strive
Mhm.
for something and the
Yeah.
lesson that is in that is amazing that they can see me working hard towards a goal. And that I am also putting myself first. That is one thing I do with my clients as well as I talk about kind of cross culture of you actually need to put your needs first,
Mhm.
moms,
Right.
because by doing that, you are actually going to be able to meet more needs for those who need you most.
Yeah. It's like the airplane thing, right? You put on
Right.
your mask first. You need the oxygen to breathe so you can help the
Hmm.
others around you. Same thing in life. I mean, if you are a stressed out mom, taking time for self is
Yes.
not going to diminish your role. It's going to enhance your role as
Yeah.
that, female matriarch of your little family. And,
Hmm.
I think that we sometimes, guilt is a word that's come up several times in this, we feel so guilty when we need that time, but, it is so, so important. What's your favorite self care? What's your favorite way of taking care of self?
One thing for me is my daily stillness practice. For me, that's a form of self-care where I journal and I do gratitude and I listen to a guided meditation and I pray during that time. I really think that our, spiritual connection, whether it's to whatever you believe, your creator or even your higher self, I think that's really important because when you're not in line and connected with that, your body's always instinctively going to want to try to realign with it. And so when you're in that tug of war with
Right.
being in alignment with it, I think then it throws everything else off in your life too. So for me, that was really huge, is not so much sitting there and having prayer of sending prayers out, but also stopping and listening and going in and
Mhm.
being still.
Yeah.
I think self-care has a bit of a buzzword these days. Don't get me wrong, I love to get my nails done. I love a good facial and a massage. But to me, like self-care really is meeting and making sure that you are fiercely guarding your basic needs, that you are
Yeah.
fueling your body with things that will help it run properly, and that you're giving yourself that break and that pause in your day to be quiet and be still or reading a book, so it's more than just,
Sure.
pampering yourself.
What time of the day do you do that? Is it a certain
Um,
time every day or does it fluctuate?
and that was the thing at the beginning because I was like, oh my gosh, I can't add one more thing in my busy schedule as a mom. And my schedule's unpredictable at that time. I still had one that was at home full day. I mean, now I have a kindergarten that's in school half day and then a full
Mhm.
time elementary school son. So I have more time to myself to work that
Right.
in. But really, when I first started, so for you young moms who are like, wait, but my kids are at home, I can't have
Mhm.
5-10 minutes by myself. That's
Right.
quiet. Um, I learned to lean into the fact that there wasn't going to always be an exact time. I really tried to instinctively say, okay, I'm going to have this anchor in my day, but it may not always be first thing in the morning. It
Right.
may not be till lunchtime. For me, I like it. I try to do after the kids leave for school.
Mhm.
So I will do a quick 30 minutes, stillness practice in the
Mhm.
morning. And then I do try to do a midday one. And that's
Okay.
more, most of us feel when our energy starts kind of dipping
Yeah.
down, where we want to then plug into social media or TV. Instead, I usually, will lay down or prop my feet up sitting down and put in a guided meditation or a body scan and use that. And the amazing thing is when I am consistent about really doing this, and again, don't get me wrong, it's not like every single day I can fit this
Yeah.
in. And I give myself grace for that.
Okay, good.
I give myself
For all you
grace
moms that are
because
like,
I
oh my
should
gosh,
be
how does
doing
she do
it.
that every single day? I can't do that. Yeah.
I do, I meet myself where I'm at and it's okay. It's okay if it's not
Yeah.
perfectly executed or it's not this magical morning routine before my
Right.
kids get up because let's face it, I want to be able to get as much sleep as I can. So I do wake up when my kids wake up at 7.
Okay.
And that's okay. Everybody's
Yes,
different, and there's also different
exactly.
seasons in life, depending
Right.
on what season you're in with even the year. You might find where I need more sleep, so give yourself more sleep. Don't feel like you have to be forcing
I
something
love that
that's
you said that
challenging.
because as moms, we have school season, we have summer season, we have school breaks. And, Millie, what works for you in September to December may not work during that 2 week Christmas holiday break or in the summer because
Mhm.
your kids' schedules totally change. Or like
Right.
my daughter is a little bit older and at different times she might have different commitments that also dictate my time. She has early morning practices with one sport, but not in the other. The other is afternoons. It's like we're constantly having to flip and float
Flow.
and
Yeah.
grace. Grace is the word, right?
Right.
It's just,
Yeah. So if you look
yeah.
at it more as like an anchor in your day versus like
Mhm.
a blocked out time that you're like, oh, I have to do this at this time, but be like, no, this is the anchor I'm going to strive for.
Right.
And know that in that day, okay. I mean, what I do is I do prepare every night and look ahead at my schedule. That has been a game changer for me as a mom,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
kind of going into my day, knowing what to expect and going, okay, here's my blocked out for appointments, or here's when I'm wanting to plug this in. So that has helped. But just knowing that, okay, if I know that my stillness practice daily is going to have the biggest impact for me to help
Mhm.
rejuvenate myself, connect within, and refuel me before my kids come home from school, then I'm going to fit that in somewhere, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So,
And do you find, one thing that I want to mention really quick, because when you said a midday break, what came up for me was a dance break, but you lay down. And I'm
yeah.
like, my perfect midday break is putting on my favorite song. And sometimes I'll dance with my dog because she likes to
Yeah.
dance. But so it doesn't have to be, guys, it doesn't have to be one way or the other. It's whatever is going to energetically reset you, right? That's really the goal of
Right.
that midday, is to get you out of the funk you started in and give you something, or you've gotten to in the middle part of the day. Because sometimes we start out super strong, and then a couple hours later, it's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
tanking. I gotta get back up. Speaking of funk, I want to make sure that we address something exciting that you have going on. So you have a boot camp starting, and tell our audience about that boot camp. And if they've missed it for some reason, if they see this after, I definitely want you to share how they can engage with you and get the benefit of the work that you're doing with moms, because I love it.
Yeah, so I am doing a defunk through the holidays, and really this is coming up because it's interesting. We as species are the only species that actually ramps up toward like as we enter winter season, whereas most animals in the animal kingdom are actually preparing and hibernating and beginning to slow down, have it's like a recharge period.
Oh
So,
my gosh,
but
that's like a
because of
light bulb.
that, I know, right?
Never thought about it like that before. Wow.
And but we are the ones that end up trying to push harder to the end of the year through the fall winter season. And so really in listening to my clients and how stressful the holidays are for them, whether it's family dynamics or grieving the loss of somebody and then they're not here for this holiday, it really stirs up a lot of emotional overwhelm for people.
Yeah.
And so, really, to help support people in my community, I wanted to create basically a way for them to learn some ways of how through the holiday they can help shift their mindset,
Mhm.
implement some things for energy hygiene, and how to kind of navigate, the gathering situation. Because one of the number one things that's very interesting to me that I see in asking clients and other people that one of the things that they're most stressed out about is being around other people during the holidays.
Yeah. But that's
But
what
yeah,
we
it's a
strive to
gathering,
do.
but it's a
Yes.
gathering time. So anyway,
Right.
so I am doing a 4-day boot camp in my private Facebook community over at Facebook, and it's actually going to be starting tomorrow on November 16th and running through the end of the week. And I'm just going to be helping give people some tangible things, some takeaway action items, and things that they can do going now into this holiday season to maybe help set them up where it's not so overwhelming and so stressful. So if you're interested in joining that, you can definitely find me on social media at Millie Barra over on Instagram. There's a link into my private Facebook
Yep.
group.
I'm gonna put
But
that up
if you
right
miss
now.
it, if for some reason you don't, and you are a mom that's looking to help heal your anxiety, if you're like, oh wait, I don't have anxiety, but really this is about lightening your emotional load. I mean, really that's what anxiety is the result of, is the emotional strain that we have on our bodies from past experience, from inherited things that we then bring into our own life that are causing this trigger and this reaction within your bodies. So join the Facebook community. I'm going to keep those posted in there, so that's something you can go back and rewatch and have that support through the holidays. And I'm pretty sure I'm
Great.
probably going to be running another one in December after Thanksgiving.
Okay. That's great to know, because depending on timing, they may or may not hear about this in time. So I just definitely, so energy hygiene, before we wrap up, I need a quick definition around that terminology here.
Yeah, so energy hygiene, just like you're going to want to make sure you take care of your teeth and keep them clean, or take care of yourself, or make sure a friend of mine we were talking about this the other day, like you clean your toilets, right? You keep them nice and clean. It's the same thing with us. We are all energetic people. Our bodies are made, I mean, pretty much everything in the world is made up of 99.9% energy, and we are
Mhm.
all energetic beings. And energy is something that you can't see, but has a very strong effect on our physical bodies and our environment. So, energy hygiene is basically making sure that you have things in place and routines and ways to help clean out your energy so that you are able to be optimizing your physical body and your emotional well-being at optimal level.
So, I don't know, some things, we have a mutual friend that shared with me a way to kind of release an energetic charge. That's super cool. I'm going to just do this right now and tell me if
Yeah.
you've seen it. So, really, it's just, you can feel, ladies, when you are like, oh, there's so much negative energy around you and you just have to slough it off. So, go like this.
Yes.
Just get rid of it. I mean, do it as many times as you want. You are truly just shedding the energetic energy. And there's something about physically doing that. And sometimes I like wiggle and dance because
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't often do it on camera, but in my house,
No, it feels
I love to dance around my house.
good.
So anyway, well, Millie, thank you so much. And yes, I definitely see a need for your work. We don't want to be stressed out, overwhelmed moms that freak out over a little bit of spilled milk. Keep thinking about that. It's just spilled milk. But if you have all this anxiety and overwhelm, that little bit of spilled milk takes on a whole other thing, and sometimes we don't react well to our kids. So I am super excited you're out there helping busy moms this holiday season and beyond. So everybody, you know how to get a hold of Millie on her Instagram, and that funnels to her Facebook. And remember, if you are somebody, you're talking to two people right now that, or you're listening to us, neither one of us had entrepreneurship in our, checkbox as a kid. I definitely want to own my own business one day. It was not even a thought for either one of us. So if there's something deep inside of you that you feel like you're supposed to be doing, don't ignore it. Just find a way to do it. And if you do not have belief in yourself, borrow ours for a time until you get your own. Until